Welcome back to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, Litecoin Leader. Today, we're talking another coin, another space on the ALTCOINopoly board. And I wanted to point out that there's two particular spaces on the board, much like the other version of the game, that are considered to be revenue generating for the owner of those spaces. That's important to the progress of winning the game and also to succeed in your own portfolio. So today, we're going to talk about one of those two spaces. And this particular coin generates a lot of revenue just by holding it. Some of you may have seen an alternate video that I've done on this very coin. That's a strong hint as to what it is. But this coin has a lot going for it besides just the revenue of it. So let's talk about the different reasons why I like this coin and why this coin is in my own personal top 5 as we continue.
Once again, we start by taking a longer look at the ALTCOINopoly board. Now, we're going to jump around the board, as I mentioned before, and we're starting to look at an area of the board called Zone 3. Now, where is Zone 3? Zone 3 is at the top of the board. Hopefully, you're playing along at home, and you know this already based on last week's videos. But we're going to look at it we're going to continue to look at platforms that are in the top of the board. Platforms are coins with their own blockchain that allow other projects to jump on board and to work within that the constraints of that blockchain rather than having to build their own blockchain, and they just kind of expedite their progress by using someone else's blockchain. They just say, this is a good blockchain for us to use, let's start there, and if we ever want to migrate to our own blockchain, we can later on. This is what a lot of Ethereum projects do with ERC20 development, and now we're seeing it happen with a lot of other projects. So today's project goes in a particular spot, which is this particular space here, which is a revenue generating space in the other version of this game that many people know and play. So today's coin is Silica, often abbreviated by ZIL, because Silica is hard to spell. It's ZILLIQA. It's a play on the word silica. I don't really get the joke, but that's what they decided to go with. But that everyone knows about Zil. So Silica is a project that's based out of Singapore. They're doing a lot of very important things. I've made a video about how to stake Silica, and it's probably my top staking project between now and October because of the returns you can get on it from staking. But there's many other things to like about this project, which we'll start to cover in the news. So that's the piece for today. Write it down on your board. Make sure you jot it down and note that it goes in that particular spot, which is revenue generating because of the staking. So it makes sense to put it there on the board. And now let's dive into the news and the charts to find out even more detail about why I like this project so much. So this is the part of the video where I talk about all the news and all the information about the particular coin and why I like it so much. As you can see by the probably 20 tabs I have open, there's a lot to talk about with Silica, and I had to stop myself because I probably could have gone further and further. That is one of the things I do, is I do a lot of research, especially on projects I really like. That's where I put the work in for you guys. That if you subscribe to LitecoinLeader.com or the YouTube site, you get all this information in the condensed video format rather than the hours of conversation or information that I digest. So Silica, I'm going to keep it high level as much as possible. I will get technical a little bit towards the end. I'll try to keep it as high level as possible. So here we go. Silica. First thing, unstoppable domains. Those are websites you can buy that exist on the blockchain. They're .crypto or .zil extension websites. They're now supported by the Brave browser. They're being, you add extensions for Chrome. They're more and more prevalent. Once you buy this website, you own it forever. It exists on the blockchain. You don't have to renew it every year. You own it. So you can do lots of things with that website. That's number one, which is a pretty cool thing that Silica has done. Number two, Silica, being a competitor to Ethereum, has built an interoperability path with Poly Network that allows projects in the Ethereum platform to migrate over. So because Silica is smart contract based in their language, you can port over an Ethereum project. If say you're doing an Ethereum project and you're tired of all the fees being so high, you want to switch blockchains. Silica is building that with the Poly Network to make that possible. Silica also has a large capital investment team that is based in Asia, India, and Singapore, and where the teams are based. And they've got a huge amount of key players that have a lot of context in the industry in that region of the world. So they're investing in DeFi and other platforms that are just like, rather than them developing, they're investing in insurance and wealth management and payments. And they have a whole team dedicated just to explore these possibilities in the DeFi sector rather than building them on their own. Zil also has Zilswap. Now, Zilswap is their decentralized exchange, or DEX. You can see by this image right here from Twitter, from Amrit, who's I think he's the CEO of Silica. Zilswap is the 7th largest DEX already. It's just below 1 inch, and you have Uniswap and Curve and SushiSwap at the top, obviously, but it's ahead of Loopring. It's ahead of some other DeFi swaps. It's number 7 in total value of liquidity, and it's just growing. And there's not, or total value locked, I'm sorry, that's what TVL is. Trading volume, number of traders. It is a top 10 DEX already, and it's just starting. Here's an example of the Zil swap. You can see Zil versus GZIL. They're starting to add charts about how those price comparisons work out. Connect a ZilPay wallet and just start trading here on the Zilswap platform. Fees are pretty low. A lot of Zil users, this is how they exchange Zil for GZIL and back and forth. Another thing that they're doing, NFTs, very hot topic right now. They are partnering with football, otherwise known as soccer, all the major players, or a number of major players. Here's a list of them, just to show that they are just starting in end of April. They started working with Pepe and Diaz and Navas and Falcao and Raul Jimenez, all these, Diego Costa, all these guys that play in either the Premier League or the European. These are high-end players, and they're doing NFTs with Silica through their partnership. And you can see that those particular players were tweeting it out as well. Now we're going to talk about some of the guts of, like, these are all very cool projects that Silica is doing. The meat and potatoes of Silica is that it's a competitor to Ethereum because they have solved what's known as the scalability trilemma. What is the scalability trilemma? This was first defined by Vitalik Buterin. He's one of the guys who started Ethereum. He's still there. And it's 3 issues. And you're trying to get an answer that works for all 3. Can the project scale? Can it be nice and decentralized? And does it have lots of security? Now, the theory was this was pick 2 out of 3, much like when you have a new product development. You can be cheap, you can be fast, or you can be really good. Pick 2 out of 3 because you can't get all 3 in with what you want. So you have to pick 2 out of 3, compromise, and do the best you can. The scalability trilemma, ideally you'd want to have as much of this as possible covered, and Silica, through what their approach to their blockchain and their algorithms and their architecture, solves a lot of this. And there's a number of articles that I talk about the trilemma and Silica. Silica gets mentioned a lot in comparison to how Cardano and other projects handle it. It's a workhorse. I will put all these articles in the link, and there's also some really good. There's a good video on this too, but it's how fast, how secure, and how scalable your network is. That's what really the question is. And if you dig into this one article, they specifically mention 2.0 is exploring this using sharding along with Silica and Tezos and Qtum. Silica had sharding from day one, and it's Ethereum 2.0 before Ethereum 2.0 ever got there. So Silica already has the sharding, already has all the elements of the trilemma that the layer 2 solves, without Ethereum having to partner with Matic and try to propose a solution to get themselves to their 2.0. Silica is already there. So it is a major technological breakthrough in architecture, and they're executing it. They could scale very quickly. The transactions on Silica are 1,500 transactions per second, which is comparable to the Visa network. And that's just what they've done in testing. As the network grows, it gets even faster. It can also settle transactions in under a minute because of the way that they do their security and the way they do their validations. So it's a really strong blockchain, has a lot of potential, has smart contracts. Lots of projects go there and build on this platform, huge upside for growth. So again, it solves the trilemma. And this video, which I'll share, I was digging into it further. It talks about how Silica can really explode because they've solved this scalability trilemma problem. Time for a little charting. Now, I put up the two normal charts on TradingView for Silica against the US dollar, and this is an aggregate view from Bittrex. It was tough to find a good chart for Silica in US dollars. And also one against Bitcoin. Now, as you can see, just going back to November, December time frame, when I was really starting to talk about this project amongst many crypto people that I know, this coin's in the 1 to 2 cent range. And I'd heard about it over the summer. If I zoom out a little bit further, you can see where it's barely a penny over the summer, and it was actually probably below. Yeah, it was below a penny before June. So this coin now is in the 18 cent range. You can see that it's just going off the charts. It broke its all-time high recently back earlier this month in May. It's pulled back a little bit, but the all-time high in US dollars is 23 cents. As I've mentioned in some other videos, all-time highs in dollars don't make a lot of sense, no pun intended, in a dynamic where the all-time highs were originally set 3 or 4 years ago, and Bitcoin was only $20,000 roughly. So now we need to look at, with Bitcoin worth 50,000, 2.5 times, the all-time high really should be 50 cents to $1 if you're doing the math and extracting it right. So this is where I look to the Bitcoin chart, Silica against Bitcoin. And if you look at the close in the last 3 months, yeah, sure, it's climbing and it's doing good against Bitcoin. But if I start zooming out, let's just zoom out to the weekly chart. You could just see, whoa, we have a different dynamic here. Just going all the way back to, you could see it's like 50 Satoshis back, in the spring or summer of 2020, and now it's 400. That's an 8x in that time frame. But if you notice in the top corner here, there's a lot more activity going on. So if we zoom out to a monthly chart and look back at the all-time and see what the price of this coin was back in 2018, eventually we're going to hit that high. There's that line. The high was 2,700 Satoshis compared to 400 today. Now, granted, you have to go back 3 years to get there, but again, this is where I'm starting to tell people, look at things in terms of Bitcoin versus dollars, because we're trying to beat Bitcoin, not dollars. So these 4-month green candles is a positive sign with good volume. Things are starting to accelerate, but the takeaway here is that from 400 to 2,700 Satoshis, that's essentially a 7x. So a 7x on Silica at a coin that's, call it 18 cents, you're looking at around $1.30 to $1.40. Now, do I say that it could happen in the next month? Probably not. But by the end of the year, if Bitcoin, say Bitcoin goes potentially going to 100 to 125,000 or higher by end of the year, that's a 2 to 2.5x times the 7x of Silica. So a 15x is not out of the possibility for a coin that's essentially almost 20 cents. So 15 times 20 cents, now you're talking about like a Silica in the $2.50 to $3 range by end of the year. Not financial advice, not a prediction, but it's not outlandish to think that Silica could be approaching $3 by the end of 2021. So the upside here is definitely there. The positive trend is definitely there on the shorter time frame with 4 consecutive months that are in positive range and moving upwards. Once it breaks this line against Bitcoin, if it breaks 500 Satoshis or 550, it's just going to take off based on this chart alone. And at this point, you're looking at about a 25% move up from here. And again, that's going to be a clear of its all-time high. It'll probably put it around 30 cents. And at that point, that's when you start to get to a knee in the curve on a coin. It'll, if it gets added to Coinbase, if it gets added to other Kraken, if it gets added to other places that it's more easily available in the U.S. market, a run up towards $1 and then some could easily be in the cards for Silica as we come towards the end of 2021. One last point I wanted to cover on the price of Silica and stands in the rest of crypto market before I close is the position of Silica in the top 100 and its market cap compared to some other coins that it could be easily compared against. So first we have to find Silica. Scrolling down to coin roughly 60, we should start to find where Silica is at. Silica today is number 63. So at a price of 18 cents, it is just over $2 billion of a market cap. Now, I would compare Silica somewhere on the upper bound of a Cardano or a Polkadot competitor. Maybe, well, we'll see what else is in the top 20. But maybe Atom as a potential comparison as well. So let's find something that's 2 billion, and let's see if let's say it went up 7x, like we were talking about earlier, so about 15 billion. To scroll up to a 15 billion coin, Stellar Lumens is 16 billion. Let's see, where was Atom? Polygon is at 10. Theta's at 9. Atom's at 5. Wow, Atom's rather cheap in comparison. So comparing Silica to Theta or Polygon or Stellar, you get into a range of, like, you could easily see where Silica is a value compared to these coins, which are double to triple in market cap. Now, to compare Silica to its real competition, we're talking about Cardano and Polkadot. We break into the top 10 here. Cardano at number 4 is a $67 billion coin. Polkadot is a $38 billion coin. Not to say that that the upper bound is a perfect match, but with Silica being 2 billion compared to these other coins that are 20 to 30 times larger, you can easily see that Silica could take more of the market share of these other two that are Ethereum competitors. And with Cardano and Polkadot most likely going to increase in value in addition as Silica increases value, Silica could easily it has plenty of headroom to catch up. Silica could come up 10x and be a $20 billion coin, and it would still be just not even in the top 10, and it would be even further down the list because the rest of the other coins of the altcoins would also be increasing in value. So I just wanted to give some context of where the Silica is in the market cap. Because it is on page 1, that's good, but it's not even in the top 50. When it gets onto Coinbase, when it gets onto Kraken, when it gets into apps like Abra, and you have more and more places, or Anchor USD, and you have places where Silica is easily and readily available for US purchasers, the fact that Silica is an Asian product is actually a benefit to its price and US investors. Not financial advice, but I'm just saying when coins are harder to acquire and coins are less relevant or less discussed in the Western world versus the Far East coins, it's an opportunity for a number of savvy investors. Something to keep in mind.
So there it is, Silica, one of my top 5 coins. It has great things going for it. By the way, the name comes from play on the word silica. The team liked it. They went with it and played it and turned it into a Z, made it Silica. Most people call it Zil just because it's hard to spell and hard to remember. So Zil has things going for it like Gzil, which we talked about in the staking. It has the sharding. It has all the features of Ethereum 2.0 whenever that ever comes out, but they're already there as part of Silica. The Silica's native language is smart contract. It's Scylla, which is smart contract intermediate language, I think is the full name of it. But it's at its core, it's smart contracts. So that's got a strong benefit to it. The sharding, the staking, the Byzantine fault tolerance for security. It's got we talked about the trilemma: security, speed, and scalability. It's got all 3 in spades. So it's a great project. It's got a lot going for it, and there's room for it to grow. It's grown from below a penny to 20 cents of late. I wouldn't be surprised if this heads towards $1. Not financial advice, but that's something that I could see. There's plenty of room for this coin to grow and not even catch up to some of the other Ethereum competitors like Polkadot or Cardano. Or even Matic. I mean, there's so much room for this coin to grow. This coin is not on Coinbase yet. This coin is a little bit harder to get in the United States. another positive right now, because the easier it is to get, the easier it is for people to acquire it and drive the price up. So plenty of reasons to like Silica for the competition. The NFTs are coming. There's Unstoppable Domains is going to be huge. It's now a native part of the Brave browser. So you could buy one-time fee, you own the .zil or the .crypto websites, and you own them forever. So many reasons to like the team. The team's been around for 4+ years. They're very strong. They're in a hotbed for blockchain over in Singapore. So I think that these guys and their team, this coin's going to do major things. So obviously I like it for staking for the next 6 months with the Zil rewards, but there's so much to like this project even beyond that. So for me, for me personally, I'm kind of like acquiring it, holding it, staking it, doing evaluation in September, October. But by that time, we're going to know a lot more where Ethereum 2.0 lands, what Silica's migration is to maybe Coinbase, and see if this coin could head 50 cents to $1, which would not surprise me at all as the altcoins really start to boom, especially in the top 100 where Silica lives right now. So lots of reasons to like Silica. I mentioned a lot of them. There's probably more I'm not even mentioning, but it's just so deep of a coin and a project that's got such upside, both price and performance wise. Not financial advice, but I think that this coin has a lot of potential and could head up strongly from here over the summer. So lots said today. Going to close the drawer in the bureau, and I'll see you next time.